Welcome back. Today I'm going to show you very quickly how to keep your greenhouse safe through short frost events via the power of thermal mass. We're not going to spend any money on heating. Once you install this system, you have no money to spend on heating. Fountain. This is a barrel. Thus far we have taken about 40 of these 55-gallon drums, and this was spray painted black so it absorbs more sun, and we are filling them with water. This one is almost full. These came from a car wash, I believe, because when I let them overflow, soap pours out of them. It's natural. So what we're doing is filling these barrels up, and then this water inside of here acts like a sink for the heat. It doesn't really get hot inside of here. You know, the water coming from the ground here is probably in the 70s. It goes into here. This doesn't get super warm, but it doesn't get super cool. It takes a lot of energy to freeze 55 gallons of water. I had a 10-foot by 20-foot greenhouse. I put 8 of these inside of it, and it got down to the teens, and inside the greenhouse it still did not freeze. That's because each one of these then is acting like a passive heater. Overnight, it's radiating warmth. It's just radiating warmth. And it does the same thing during the day. When it got really hot inside of there and I left it all shut, before I put the barrels in, it would soar over 100 degrees. After I put the barrels in, I went in and checked it in the middle of the day. It was in the 80s inside. Completely shut up, it was in the 80s, because this works both ways. Keeps it cool during a hot day, keeps it warm during a cold night. So as you can see, I've got a barrel. Everybody gets a barrel. Tons of barrels in here. We've also got some IBC tote tanks right here. This was an IBC tote which was cut in half, which we're using for ponds. This has actually got a Chinese water chestnut in it. That one over there is going to have some other aquatic plants in it. But I spaced the barrels here and there around here, and also if you have posts like this, poles like this, you can strap the barrels to them and add extra solidity in case you get high winds, because a barrel full of water doesn't want to go anywhere. But each one of these is acting like a radiant heater and keeping it from freezing inside overnight. We've gotten into the upper 20s so far. I have coffee in here, and the coffee is not getting damaged by the cold. So short frost events, all you really need is that thermal mass. And if you notice on this side, this is the north facing side, I didn't even bother painting the back of them. We saved spray paint. The sides that are painted black are the east, south, and west sides. The sun sets over there, it rises over there, so this back part rarely gets any sun whatsoever. So the sides that we needed and the tops are spray painted black with cheap spray paint, just enough. And you could really feel the difference. If you put your hand on top of a white barrel and then put it on top of a black barrel, the white barrel feels cool, the black barrel feels warm just from the sun coming down on it. This is just a really simple kind of a battery. It's acting like a capacitor would overnight, where it heats up during the day and it cools off slowly overnight and radiates heat out. And it is enough for short frost events. Now, if we had 2 or 3 days below freezing, it might be different. For those of you further north, it's going to be different. However, it helps a lot. It really extends the season a long way, just like having floating row covers or cloches or something like that. This is taking the season and extending it another couple of months before it gets really cold. So even if you had a really cold climate, if you had enough water barrels, it would take a lot longer for it to freeze inside of that greenhouse than it would outside of the greenhouse. And once you've bought your barrels and installed them, you have them for years. You can also build trays, which is what I plan to do. I plan to put some lumber on the top of these and make some propagation area trays so I can put some shade plants underneath and some trays on top. That way I'm not just wasting the space that the barrels take up. We also stick plants on top of them, like this tropical acerola cherry. It's very happy on top of this barrel, which is radiating heat all through the night, and this tropical plant doesn't even know that it's in zone 8. So just a quick tip on keeping your greenhouse warm. Also, I've got my Perry Hill Farms shirt on today. Life is better on the farm. I highly recommend you subscribe to Perry Hill Farms. They're friends of mine, also in Alabama, and they're wonderful people. So they've got a little homestead channel as well. Anyhow, thanks for joining me. If you want to learn more about how to push the zone and grow tropical plants beyond the tropics, and not necessarily in something like a giant commercial greenhouse, but little ways that you can push the zone, a zone or two, and grow stuff that you didn't think you could grow, check out my book, Push the Zone, the good guide to growing tropical plants beyond the tropics. Catch you next time. Until then, may your thumbs always be green.